60% of all manuscripts that are sent to high impact factor journals are rejected even before going through the peer review process. Among the rest that make it to the review stage, around half are rejected for a variety of reasons that I will discuss throughout section 2. But the number one reason that is common among the rejected papers at both stages and for all journals is that the manuscript or research is not significant enough or does not have the impact or the contribution to the field that the editors and reviewers expect. I hear you complaining, I have stated the significance of my study in multiple places throughout my manuscript, so why my paper is rejected on this basis? The answer is not straightforward, so consider these guidelines and important points. To start seeing your own work through a different lens, always ask the famous "so what" question that goes through the minds of all reviewers. You have decided to do X and Y with the help of method A and the result is B. The question you should ask yourself is, so what? What problem does my result solve in the real world? The answer does not have to be a groundbreaking contribution or solution. Remember that most research projects are incremental steps towards a hypothetical perfection point in the future, and your research could be one of those steps. That's totally fine, but you should be able to clearly and effectively state that point. Even more important than this is to be able to effectively reiterate your objectives and clearly show how your results have met those objectives without falling into one of the two extreme points of argumentation, namely underspecification and exaggeration. These two pitfalls of argumentation around the significance of the study and results are among the most noticeable parts of most manuscripts that I have reviewed. Underspecification is the inability of the author to fully document the problem in the first place and point the reader towards the ways the results solve that problem. Exaggeration, which is even more common among novice authors, is overstating what the results really mean and stating more areas than the results factually contribute to. It is also common to see a disconnect between the initial statements of an author, for example in the introduction section about the objectives and importance of the study, and the way the research questions are formulated, and even worse, the ways the conclusions are derived. Most students assume that because they are fully aware of their own research and the reasons they conducted their work, the reviewers should automatically be able to see that as well. Remember that the reviewer only sees what you've written in your manuscript, nothing else. So your paper should be a self-contained piece of text, even if it is actually a part of bigger research or a thesis. Your research questions, as well as the objectives and significance of your study, need to be reformulated to suit the scope of the specific journal that you're sending your manuscript. This point is especially important when the area of your work overlaps with other areas and journals. For instance, if your research is about language teaching and you're sending your paper to a journal with the scope of language assessment, you need to restate your research questions and objectives in the areas of overlap to make your paper relevant to the readership who is interested in the assessment side of language teaching. Do not readily assume that because both language teaching and language assessment fall within one area of research, both are the same, and that you can easily send your paper to either of the journals without change. I'm sure you have already started to see the picture and the fact that journals are becoming very specialized in an area. In the next lectures, I will talk about another very important area of academic writing, the narration, and link it to the discussion of today's lecture and show you the importance of narrating the significance of your study throughout your paper. So keep these lectures, key points in your checklist and head over to the next one.